Now, let's get off of the Sugar Bowl. Let's talk a little bit about the game that began some 8 hours ago in Pasadena, California. Number 1 Michigan versus number 4 Alabama. And that game naturally went the way of the last time that we had a college football playoff semifinal at the Rose Bowl. Going into overtime, Michigan found a way to top number 4 Alabama 27-20 in overtime. And off the rip, Michigan's defense was the difference. Like, we're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy and him being able to do what he hadn't been able to do basically for the last 6 weeks against Bama, throw TD passes. But what I was more impressed by was the Michigan defense answering the bell. They sacked Jalen Milroe 6 times. Now, for perspective there, Georgia double spied Jalen Milroe in the SEC title game and sacked him 4 times. It was as if they were listening when everybody said Jalen Milroe holds the ball too long. And they said, cool, if he wants to hold the ball, he's going to eat it. And in the first half, they had 5 sacks of Jalen Milroe. Each time, they sent 5 or more, and they got home. He didn't know if he was coming or going, and when they got their hands on him, they put him on the ground. And that was always going to be the challenge with Jalen Milroe. If you took away his ability to run away from you and make him throw the ball deep down the field, you have an opportunity to win, because he's not going to hit as many of those as you expect. And he certainly hasn't been great throwing the ball over the middle. So you got your pass defense and your pass rush showing up in a big way, but it wasn't as if they could do much else. I gotta lay this in, man. 283 total yards. That's what Alabama had at the end of this game. And yet, and still, Bama going 3 of 13 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down. We'll talk about that in a bit. Had a lead in the second half in the fourth quarter against a dominant number 1 ranked Michigan team. And I say that because Michigan had never trailed a team in 2023 in the second half of any ball game. And they found a way to come back and win this game because the defense got stops. Like, Milroe and the Alabama offense had the ball with under a minute left to play. Couldn't even get Will Reichard into kicking distance where he had been money all day. Have to punt the ball back to Michigan, and Michigan does what, well, I didn't know they could do. They charged straight down the field, and they went and got 7 to tie this up. And then the way this game ended was kind of weird, in that I would want Nick Saban to put pressure on that Michigan offense, especially backed up against the goal line, and not let them just kind of sit on the ball and walk it out to overtime. But that might just mean he did not trust the defense, or he didn't trust the offense if they got the ball back. Either way, you could see it, because it didn't look like Alabama was in sync. Even as, again, this game was not clean. We had a muff punt by Samaj Morgan at the beginning of this game, and I'm going, do y'all realize that you can't do this against an Alabama football team that is better on defense than it is on offense? And they said, okay, we're going to find a way. We're going to keep getting it to our playmakers, and we're going to see a Blake Corum that we had not seen all year long. One who was explosive, one who ran angry, and one who knew exactly what he could do once he got to the second level, and that was absolutely run people over. I was very impressed with the Michigan offensive line that, frankly, I don't know who to trust on this, okay? Like, we talk about Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines. We talk about what Sharon Moore has been able to do with that room, and I have said repeatedly, they have 7 guys on that offensive line or in that offensive line room who could get drafted in April, all from the same year. And yet, if you talk to folks that are close to Michigan, they'd be like, I don't think they're that good, dog. You talk to folks that know from offensive line, they'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about. That offensive line is great. And what I got to see was, okay, in gotta have it moments, what were you doing? You were putting the ball in the hands of guys like Blake Corum. And then, man, Sharon Moore trusting J.J. McCarthy like I wouldn't have trusted J.J. McCarthy. You're throwing throwbacks that man has to catch with one hand, turn around, find Roman Wilson down the field, unleash it, and then get turned up by Dallas Turner, pulling grass out of his helmet, getting back into the game. It's not just the man threw his first TD against Alabama since throwing a TD against Ohio State. It's that this is his first multi-TD passing game since Michigan State on October 21st. I don't know how to tell you that that's a big deal except to say that's a big deal. Like, the idea that you get into scoring range and you're not just going to throw the ball into the belly of Blake Corum, but that you were going to run some motions to try to get an opportunity to give JJ a clean look at making a pass play, that means that you understand just what he's capable of in a way that, frankly, I didn't, right? And I got to give credit to Sherrone Moore on all of that. I don't know that I would have thrown Alex Orji in there as often as he did, but, that's also what Sherrone Moore is going to do. As much as Steve Sarkisian wants to go in his bag, we get to see Sherrone Moore go in his as well. A couple times I was like, hey, man, you're getting too cute, and this game's kind of tight here. And as it kept seeming like it was going to go Alabama's way, they kept finding a way, Michigan's defense, to get the ball back to the Michigan offense just in time to go make a play. And with this win, it's not just that the best team that we've seen Michigan field since 1997 is one game away from winning a national championship after being 14-0 for the first time in school history. It's that Michigan's win against number 4 Alabama also earned Michigan its first CFP semifinal win in 3 attempts and stopped the SEC's reign of dominance. Like, I got to put it in this perspective. Until New Year's Day 2024, that's today, the SEC had won 4 consecutive national championships, okay? Until New Year's Day 2024, the SEC played in 8 consecutive national championships. Michigan put a stop to all of that. And then Washington said, hey, we got you. We're not even going to let them call a de facto SEC team, Texas, in there because we're going to be in there because we're a de facto Big Ten team since you get the Big Ten championship. I was floored by just what that Michigan defense was capable of doing against this Alabama offense, because the thing that you had heard and seen, frankly, is mobile quarterbacks, they don't know what to do with. Jesse Minter's defense just can't stop a mobile quarterback. Turns out, lies were told. Lies have been detected, because that's exactly what that Michigan defense did. It put the shackles on a man that I did not think you could put the shackles on in number 4 playing quarterback back there. And I love that play at the end of the game, 4th and 3, which is basically a 2-point conversion. Nick Saban and Tommy Rees said, we're going to go with one of the 2-point play conversions that we have dialed up that we think we can win with. And they said, what we're going to do is we're going to run a QB power. We know that they're probably going to bring a run blitz. We feel like we can block it up, and we feel like we can gap it. And Michigan said, you shall not pass. If that is not a way for you to personify what your program is about, I don't know what is. You were able to run in with the game on the line in overtime, and not only did Blake Corum angrily run and have one of the best jump cuts we've seen all season, but he stared down the camera like, what? You thought that I was not going to get in here? You thought that I was going to act like I'm not supposed to be here? No, he was mugging the camera. He was mad about it. And I love to see that from a running back, because I know that that running back is also personifying his offensive line. And then defensively, same thing, dog. They just decided that you were not going to score. We were going to end the game 27-20, and we're going to go to the national title game. Perspective here, though. Jim Harbaugh is that dude. And he has become that dude over the last 3 years. I can't stress this enough. If Michigan, Ohio State had played in 2020, I'm not sure that Jim Harbaugh would have been the head coach in 2021, because I know that Ohio State was chomping at the bit to stomp out Michigan in that game, and they had the team to do it. Okay, game was canceled. The next year, we get to see what Michigan might be and what they are becoming. And they've done this for the last 3 years. Yeah, they get to the playoff and they get beat by a Georgia team that we all knew was good, right? Then they get back to the playoff. They get beat by a Texas Christian team that turns out wasn't good. They get back to the playoff against an Alabama team. Their jaws drop because they think they're supposed to be playing Florida State. I didn't think they wanted that smoke from Alabama. They said, you know what? Fine. We will do it anyway. We beat Ohio State 3 times in a row. That has given us enough confidence to go win the Big Ten title again. You can make our head coach sit out 3 games for something one of his staffers did, okay? You can make our head coach sit out the first 3 games because he misled NCAA investigators on recruiting violations. You can give us level 1 infraction notices around Christmas as we're preparing for the biggest game of our season, and we're still going to show up, and we're going to give you the what for and the how now against the vaunted Alabama Crimson Tide. If I'm a Michigan fan, you can't tell me a damn thing. You would not be able to tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody, okay? Because nobody has had their back up against the wall like those Wolverines in Ann Arbor. And it's me talking. All right? I have full respect to this. Now, I got to give a shout out to Ward Manuel, who understands what the lay of the land is. Shout out to my guy, Michael Cohen, who had this quote. The question was put before Ward Manuel, athletic director at Michigan. Hey, you going to try to get Jim Harbaugh to sign that contract extension on the plane? He said, dude, I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm working on it. I'm like, yeah, you working on it. You got to be working on it because this is the best season that you've had in 26 years. And it could go down as the best season Michigan's ever had. It could be right there if they can pull off this win against a Washington football team that is on another level as well. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.